Welcome to the It Factor. We're Jemmy and Nye, and we're going to be exploring a new blog post today by Mr. Len Kaplan,
Mhm.
CEO of CDML,
Right.
an MSP in Queens, New York, offering network management, VoIP and UCAS, cybersecurity compliance, IaaS, cloud, and Microsoft 365 and Azure.
Yeah, that's a mouthful.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
So if you're a small business owner or manage IT for a growing organization, you're in the right place.
Definitely.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, you don't want to miss this.
Today, we're diving deep into something that really should be on every small business owner's radar: Bluetooth security vulnerabilities.
Right.
We've got this post from Len Kaplan at CDML, and our goal today is to cut through all that technical jargon, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And explain what these risks mean for you and your business, and most importantly, what you can actually do about them.
Absolutely. I think that's the most important part.
Yeah,
You can talk about all these vulnerabilities and scary things, but if you don't know what to do, then what's the point?
exactly.
So,
Actionable advice.
exactly.
Okay, so let's jump right in.
Yeah.
What has really caught the attention of security researchers lately is the discovery of these undocumented commands
Right.
within the ESP32 microchip.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this might sound kind of abstract, but this chip is in everything.
Yeah, it's everything.
It's a tiny little component, but it's found in over 1 billion Bluetooth and Wi-Fi enabled devices all over the world.
Yeah, like a billion with a B.
Billion with a B.
Like, it's crazy how prevalent this chip is. And, we're not even talking about high-tech, crazy devices. Like, your everyday stuff has this chip in it.
Yeah, just the things you use all the time, you don't even think about it, probably have this in it.
Absolutely. And what's kind of fascinating, but also a little concerning, is that these hidden commands could potentially be exploited by people with malicious intent. It's like creating a secret backdoor into your devices and then ultimately your whole business network.
Like a secret pathway that
Yeah.
wasn't meant to be there.
Exactly.
Yeah. So these undocumented commands are kind of like a hidden feature, right, that no one was supposed to know about.
Right. Like a secret menu at a restaurant that only a few people know about.
Okay, I like that analogy.
Yeah.
But in this case, it's not a good thing.
No, not at all.
So what could someone actually do with this kind of access?
Right.
Can you give us a real-world scenario?
Absolutely. So let's imagine a small accounting firm.
Right.
Everyone's got to do their taxes. They've got sensitive financial data, client information, that kind of stuff.
Uh-huh.
One thing these vulnerabilities could allow attackers to do is impersonate a trusted device.
Okay.
Like, let's say they have a wireless printer in their office.
Right.
Seems harmless, right?
Yeah.
But a hacker could make their device look like that printer to the rest of the network.
Oh, wow.
And that gives them an entry point, a way to start sneaking around your systems.
So they could basically disguise themselves as something that's supposed to be there.
Exactly. They blend right in.
That's scary.
It is.
So it's not just about getting in, though, right? It's what they can do once they're inside.
Right. Exactly.
What kind of damage are we talking about here?
Well, beyond just getting in, they could access all that sensitive client financial data we talked about.
Oh, okay.
Things you really don't want getting out there.
So we're talking like identity theft, financial fraud, that kind of stuff?
Absolutely. It's a huge risk for both the business and their clients.
And could they also mess with things beyond just stealing information?
Yeah, definitely.
Like, could they disrupt operations?
Absolutely. These commands could potentially compromise your business communications.
Okay.
Imagine someone listening in on sensitive phone calls made over your VoIP system, or even manipulating data that's being transferred.
So like changing bank account numbers or something?
Potentially. Yeah, it's really scary to think about.
That's pretty terrifying.
And perhaps the most insidious thing is they could potentially bypass those standard security audit controls.
Oh, so they're like invisible to the security systems.
Kinda, yeah. If these commands are operating outside of the normal parameters that your security systems are looking for, it becomes much harder to detect and prevent an attack.
Like a ghost in the machine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's really tough to catch.
Wow. Okay, so this is getting pretty serious.
Yeah.
Given all these potential threats, what are some concrete actions a small business owner should be taking, right now?
Right?
I know the blog post mentioned a couple of key steps.
Yeah, the first thing you absolutely need to do is get a clear picture of all the Bluetooth-enabled devices in your business.
Okay.
And I mean everything. Laptops, smartphones, wireless keyboards, mice, printers, speakers, headphones, anything that connects via Bluetooth.
So like a full inventory of all the Bluetooth gadgets.
Yep, you need to know exactly what's connected to your network because you can't secure what you don't know you have.
It's like trying to lock all the doors when you don't even know how many doors you have.
That's a good way to put it, yeah.
And what's the second immediate step?
Alongside that inventory, you need to implement and actually enforce policies that prevent employees and visitors from connecting any unauthorized devices to your network.
Okay.
So that means no personal devices, no weird USB, Bluetooth adapters, nothing that hasn't been checked and approved by your IT.
Like a strict no BYOD policy.
Yeah, pretty much, especially when it comes to connecting to your main business network.
And the blog post mentioned guest Wi-Fi.
Right.
Why is that so important?
Your guest Wi-Fi should be the only exception to this strict connection policy.
Okay.
It's there for visitors to use the internet, but it shouldn't give them access to your internal systems.
Right, like keeping them in the lobby and not giving them a key to the whole building.
Exactly. The key here is that your guest Wi-Fi needs to be completely isolated from your main business network.
Got it. So even if a guest device is compromised, it can't spread to the rest of the network.
Right, you're containing the potential damage.
Okay, so we've got the inventory and the strict connection policies, especially for that guest network. What about some more proactive security measures that a business can put in place?
So building on that inventory, you need to establish a process for regular device audits.
Okay.
And this isn't a one-time thing, it needs to be ongoing. You should be reviewing those connected devices and try to identify the ones that might be using those vulnerable ESP32 chipsets.
How would someone actually figure that out?
You might need to dig into device specifications, check manufacturer websites, or even use some specialized software, but it's crucial for understanding your potential exposure.
And then based on these audits, you can decide whether to update firmware or replace devices.
Exactly. Sometimes an update is enough, but older devices might not even get those updates.
Makes sense. So you might have to bite the bullet and get new equipment.
Sometimes, yeah, it's an investment in your security.
So regular audits to keep track of devices and identify risks. What else?
Network segmentation and access control are huge.
Okay, what does that mean exactly?
Imagine dividing your digital office into different departments, each with different levels of access.
Like having security clearance levels.
Kinda. Not every device or employee needs access to all your sensitive data.
Right, so if someone gets into one department, they can't just waltz into the CEO's office.
Exactly. It limits the potential damage if a breach does happen.
That makes a lot of sense.
And the third proactive measure is all about managing firmware updates.
All right, the dreaded updates.
I know everyone hates them,
Yeah.
but keeping the firmware on all your devices up to date is absolutely vital.
Right, I know they can be a pain, but they're important.
Manufacturers are constantly releasing updates that include crucial security fixes.
Okay.
You need a system to monitor those updates for all your devices and apply them quickly. Sometimes you can automate this.
Oh, that would be nice.
It would. But even then, it's something that needs regular attention to make sure you're protected.
So we're talking inventory, connection policies, regular audits, network segmentation, and firmware updates.
That's the gist of it, yeah.
That sounds like a lot for a small business owner who's already juggling a million things.
It is. And that's where a specialist like CDML Computer Services comes in.
Right. The blog post talked about how they can help with this stuff.
Exactly. They focus on cybersecurity, specifically for small and medium businesses in the NYC area.
So they understand the unique challenges that small businesses face.
Absolutely. They can help you navigate these complexities, starting with a thorough network and security assessment.
Okay.
They can identify any weaknesses in your systems, including those related to Bluetooth vulnerabilities.
And they also mentioned compliance support in the blog post.
Right.
How does that fit in here?
Well, a lot of small businesses, especially those in regulated industries like healthcare or finance, have to meet specific security compliance requirements.
Oh, right, like IPEA and stuff?
Exactly. And those regulations often include guidelines around device security and data protection.
So CDML can help make sure that your systems are up to code.
Yeah, essentially. And that inherently involves addressing vulnerabilities like the ones we're talking about today.
Makes sense. They can also help with secure digital transformation, right?
Yeah, that's a big one these days.
So they can help businesses adopt new technologies safely.
Exactly. It's about moving forward without compromising your security.
It sounds like having that expert guidance can be really valuable.
Absolutely, especially for small businesses that might not have dedicated IT staff.
Right. And the blog post also mentioned CDML's partnerships with some big names in tech.
Yeah, they partner with industry leaders like Microsoft, Dell, SonicWall, and HP Aruba.
Oh, wow. That's a pretty impressive lineup.
It is, and it gives them access to some really advanced security tools and insights.
So they can leverage those partnerships to help their clients.
Absolutely. They can use those resources to do really in-depth security assessments tailored to your specific business needs.
Okay.
They can also help you develop and enforce those device management and connection policies we talked about.
Right, making sure you have those strong defenses in place.
Exactly. And they can even implement threat detection systems that monitor your network for any suspicious activity.
So it's like having a 204/7 security guard for your network.
Yeah, it's a great way to stay ahead of potential threats.
Now, while all this sounds pretty serious, the blog post did offer a little bit of reassurance towards the end.
Yeah, right.
Can you remind us what that was?
Yeah, it's important to keep things in perspective. Espressif, the company that makes the ESP32 chip, has said that these undocumented commands were mainly meant for internal debugging,
Oh.
and they
Oh.
weren't designed for remote access.
So they're not like a wide open back door that anyone can just walk through?
Not exactly, but that doesn't mean we can ignore it.
Right.
The fact that these commands are undocumented and could potentially bypass security measures means it's still a significant risk.
Okay, so it's not time to panic, but it's definitely something to take seriously.
Exactly. Think of it like knowing there's a hidden weakness in your building's foundation.
Hmm.
Even if it's not obvious, it's something you need to address to make sure your building is stable and secure.
So the key takeaway for our listeners is that while these new Bluetooth vulnerabilities are a potential threat, understanding the risks and taking those proactive steps is the best way to protect their businesses.
Absolutely. Knowledge is power.
And what would be the single most important action you'd recommend they take after listening to this?
Reach out to a cybersecurity expert like CDML Computer Services for a personalized security consultation.
That sounds like a great first step.
They can help you assess your specific situation, identify any vulnerable devices you might have, and come up with a plan to mitigate those risks.
And for anyone who wants to connect with CDML, you can reach them at 718-393-5343 or send an email to sales@cdml.com. The blog post also mentioned that you can find more helpful information on the CDML blog and YouTube channel.
Right. Those are great resources.
We'll be sure to include links to those in the show notes.
Awesome.
So staying informed is crucial for good cybersecurity. And by taking these proactive steps, you're not just protecting your business from threats, you're building a more resilient and secure foundation for your future success.
That's the goal, right?
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. It was great chatting with you.
And thanks to all of you for listening to The It Factor.
See you next time.
Stay safe out there.